Picture this. A sleek black SUV rolls up to the Summit Lux Hotel in Denver, Colorado, tires crunching against the gravel drive as dusk paints the sky in hues of orange and steel. Out steps Lydia Grant, 45, a black woman with a presence that hums beneath her understated style. Think worn-in leather loafers, a sharp blazer over a cream sweater, and a beat-up canvas tote slung over her shoulder. No flashy logos, no entourage, just a CEO who owns the joint, craving a quiet night before a last-minute board meeting. She's not here for fanfare, just a key, a bed, and maybe a hot shower. But the universe has other plans. Inside, the lobby gleams with marble and muted gold, a hive of soft chatter and clinking glasses. Lydia strides toward the front desk, where Sophie Carter, 24, a rookie receptionist with a messy bun and chipped nail polish, barely looks up from her screen. "Checking in, Grant, Lydia," she says, her voice warm but firm, a hint of a smile tugging at her lips. Sophie's fingers freeze mid-type, her brows knitting. Sorry, ma'am, we're fully booked tonight, confirmed reservations only." Her tone's polite but clipped, the kind you'd use to shoo away a stray. Lydia's smile holds steady, unshaken. "There's always a suite held for me," she says, casual as if ordering coffee. Sophie blinks, then smirks faintly. "Yeah, well, not tonight." The air shifts, game on. Lydia Grant stands unfazed, her tote resting lightly against her hip as Sophie Carter leans back in her swivel chair, skepticism etched into her young face. "No suite, no record, maybe you got the wrong hotel," Sophie says, her voice tinged with a shrug, like she's brushing off a lost tourist. Lydia tilts her head, her calm unshaken. "This is the Summit Lux, right? My name's on it, literally." Sophie's smirk widens, a half-laugh slipping out. "You're saying you own this place?" Her tone drips with disbelief, loud enough to draw eyes from the lobby. Across the polished floor, a couple in matching sweaters pauses mid-conversation, their heads swiveling. A guy nursing a whiskey by the bar glances over, brow raised. Lydia feels the familiar prickle, those looks that say she's gotta be kidding. She doesn't flinch. "Call your manager," she says, her voice still even, like she's asking for the time. Sophie hesitates, then grabs the phone, muttering, "Fine, but this is nuts." Moments later, Tom Hargrove, 38, hustles out from a side office, tie askew, clipboard clutched like a shield. "Evening, ma'am, trouble with a booking?" he asks, his forced grin not quite reaching his eyes. "No trouble," Lydia replies, her gaze steady. "I'm Lydia Grant. I own this hotel." Tom blinks, caught off guard, as whispers ripple through the crowd. Tom Hargrove adjusts his tie, a nervous tick flickering across his face as Lydia Grant's words hang in the air. "You own, right? Let's sort this out," he stammers, glancing at Sophie, who's now chewing her lip, unsure. The lobby's buzz dips as two security guards materialize, one near the glass doors, the other by the espresso machine, silent sentinels sizing up the scene. Lydia doesn't budge, her loafers rooted to the marble like she's grown there. She's seen this before, the doubt, the subtle flex of control, and it's not her first rodeo. Without a word, she slips her phone from her tote, thumb swiping the screen with practiced ease. The call's quick, 20 seconds tops. "This is Lydia Grant, Summit Lux Denver. I've been denied entry to my own property. Fix it." Her voice is low, clipped, no trace of anger, just cold efficiency. She hangs up, tucking the phone away, and waits, arms loose at her sides. No pacing, no glare, just a stillness that makes the room feel smaller. Tom shifts his weight, clipboard trembling slightly. "We'll, need to verify that," he says, darting a look at the guards. Sophie's eyes narrow, still unconvinced, as a woman in a fur-trimmed coat nearby pulls out her phone, camera discreetly aimed. Lydia senses the stakes rising, and she's ready to play her hand. The Summit Lux lobby hums with a tense undercurrent as Lydia Grant stands by a sleek pillar, her silhouette sharp against the glow of a modern chandelier. Sophie Carter taps her keyboard harder now, as if the screen might cough up a different truth. "Nothing under Grant," she mutters, loud enough for the couple by the bar to exchange smirks. Tom Hargrove returns from a quick huddle in the back, a stack of papers in hand, his brow slick with sweat. "Miss, Grant, we're just double-checking," he says, his voice a shaky mix of courtesy and doubt. "Policy, you know." Lydia's eyes flick to the Summit Lux logo etched in gold behind the desk, a brand she built from scratch. "Take your time," she says, her tone dry but unshaken. The guards linger, one adjusting his earpiece, the other scanning the room like Lydia might bolt. She doesn't. She's a statue of patience, but inside, the old burn simmers, not at the delay, but at the assumption she's an outsider in her own domain. A teenage girl in a denim jacket snaps a photo from the lounge, whispering to her friend. An older man with a briefcase pretends to read his tablet, stealing glances. Sophie scrolls her phone under the counter, probably digging for proof Lydia's bluffing. Tom clears his throat, fumbling with his radio. "It's just protocol," he insists, but his eyes dodge hers. Lydia nods once, her silence louder than their scramble. The clock's ticking, and they don't even know it yet. The elevator doors slide open with a soft chime, cutting through the Summit Lux's strained quiet. Out step Mark Sullivan, 50, regional VP, gray suit pristine, and Javier Torres, 42, district manager, in a navy polo that's seen better days. Their strides scream urgency, Mark's jaw tight, Javier's hands clenched around a tablet. Lydia Grant spots them instantly, her posture unchanged, but a flicker of recognition crosses her face. The lobby's chatter fades as heads turn, sensing the shift. "Miss Grant," Mark says, voice low and clipped, bypassing Tom Hargrove entirely. "We're so sorry, this is unacceptable." Javier jumps in, breathless. "Suite 1401's ready, cars on standby, breakfast orders set, your usual, avocado toast and black coffee." Tom stumbles forward, papers slipping. "I was just verifying," Mark silences him with a glare that could cut glass. Sophie Carter's smirk vanishes, her hands dropping to her lap as she clocks the panic in their eyes. Lydia's gaze sweeps the room, cool and deliberate. "Took one call," she says, her voice steady, almost amused. "Good to know." Mark nods, already on his phone, barking orders about immediate protocol. Javier taps his tablet, muttering about rerouting staff. The guards step back, suddenly irrelevant. A woman in yoga pants by the fireplace whispers, "She's the boss," to her husband, who nods, wide-eyed. Sophie's face pales, she gets it now. Lydia doesn't gloat, she just watches, taking mental notes on every flinch, every stutter. The powers flipped, and they're scrambling to catch up. Lydia Grant steps away from the desk as Mark Sullivan and Javier Torres take charge, their voices a low hum of command. Tom Hargrove shrinks, his clipboard a useless prop, while Sophie Carter's fingers hover over her keyboard, frozen. Site-wide alerts out, Javier says, eyes on his tablet. "All staff, mandatory retraining starts tomorrow. Tom, Sophie, you're on notice." Mark adds, "HR's looping in tonight, disciplinary reviews are live." His tone's sharp, no room for pushback. Lydia watches the shift ripple through the lobby. The guards slink toward the exits, avoiding her gaze. A bellhop straightens up, suddenly attentive, offering a nervous nod. The couple by the bar lowers their voices, sneaking glances her way. Sophie's bravado's gone, her shoulders slump, her eyes darting to Lydia like she's seeing a ghost. Tom mutters something about miscommunication, but it lands flat. Lydia's expression stays neutral, but she's cataloging it all, their panic, their backpedaling, the way power bends when the truth hits. She heads for the elevator, key cards in hand. "Send someone to check the suite," she says over her shoulder, her voice calm but firm. Javier nods fast. On it. As the doors close, the lobby exhales, tension replaced by a scramble to save face. Lydia doesn't need to say more, her presence has already rewritten the rules. Downstairs, the staff's in chaos, but up in 1401, she's about to reclaim what's hers. Lydia Grant steps into Suite 1401, the Summit Luxe's top floor wrapping her in silence and the faint scent of cedar. The room's pristine, plush towels folded sharp, a tray of avocado toast and coffee steaming on the table, a handwritten note from the kitchen crew scribbled with apologies. She sets her tote down, kicks off her loafers, and sinks into a leather chair by the floor-to-ceiling windows, Denver's skyline twinkling below. It's hers, all of it, but tonight, that victory feels hollow. Her mind drifts back to Chicago, 20 years ago. She was 25, a junior exec in a borrowed blazer, trailing a VP who didn't bother learning her name. A hotel clerk had handed her a broom once, mistaking her for staff. She'd laughed it off then, but the sting stuck. Now, at 45, with 15 properties under her belt, she's still proving the same point. The suite's luxury can't erase that ache, the one that comes from being unseen in a world you built. She pulls out her phone, a text from her assistant buzzing in, audits rolling, media statement ready if you want it. Lydia hesitates. She could blast this wide open, Twitter would eat it up, but that's not her play. This isn't about headlines, it's about roots, about the why behind every brick of Summit Luxe. She sips her coffee, the bitterness grounding her. Tomorrow, she'll face them head-on, not for revenge, but for something bigger. The night stretches out, heavy with purpose. At 7 a.m., Lydia Grant descends to the Summit Luxe's lobby, her charcoal suit crisp, heels clicking like a metronome. The early crowd, business travelers with briefcases, a family juggling juice boxes, freezes as she crosses the marble floor. Mark Sullivan and Javier Torres wait by a potted fern, folders in hand, coffee untouched. They look like they've pulled an all-nighter, and they probably have. Morning, Lydia says, her voice cool, leading them to a glass-walled meeting room off the concierge desk. Inside, Tom Hargrove fidgets with his tie, Sophie Carter stares at her lap, and an HR rep, Ellen Price, sits with a laptop open, her face unreadable. Lydia stands at the table's head, arms crossed. "Let's hear it," she says, her tone flat. "What happened last night, from you?" Silence stretches, thick and uneasy. Tom clears his throat, but nothing comes out. Sophie finally mumbles, "I didn't think, you didn't seem like," she stops, shrinking under Lydia's gaze. "Didn't seem like the owner?" Lydia finishes, her words slow, deliberate. Sophie nods, barely. "Was I loud? Rude? Did I threaten you?" Sophie shakes her head, 3 quick no's. Lydia turns to Ellen. "I'm not here to axe anyone, but this can't slide. Explain it." Javier jumps in, voice tight. Sophie's off the desk, write-up issued. Tom's on review. Retraining's mandatory, effective today. Lydia nods, then sits, leveling her eyes at Tom. "How long you been here?" 2 years, he says, voice thin. "And you didn't know my name?" He flinches. She shifts to Sophie. How long?" 6 months, Sophie whispers. "Ever wonder who built this place?" Sophie shakes her head again. Lydia leans back. 15 hotels, coast to coast. I started this chain because I was sick of being dismissed. Last night, you made me invisible in my own house. Why?" Tom stares at the table, Sophie's eyes well up. "I just assumed," she says, voice breaking. Lydia's not moved. Assumptions aren't neutral, they cost people. "You're not fired, but you're accountable." Mark adds, "We're rolling out inclusivity training, every property, no skips." Lydia cuts in, "Make it real." I don't want robots reciting rules, I want people who get it, even when the guest isn't me. She stands, the room holding its breath. This isn't punishment, it's a reset. Figure out what respect means, or you won't last here. Ellen scribbles notes, Javier nods fast. Lydia's already halfway out the door, leaving them to wrestle with the weight of her words. The lobby watches her go, a quiet force reshaping everything it touches. The Summit Lux's staff lounge is a dim nook behind the coffee bar, smelling of burnt toast and stale air. Lydia Grant finds Sophie Carter there at 9 a.m., alone at a metal table, a cold latte in front of her. Sophie jolts upright as Lydia pulls out a chair, her eyes red-rimmed. Chill, Lydia says, her voice softer now, this isn't round two. Sophie nods, clutching her cup like a lifeline. Ever feel small at a job? Lydia asks, leaning back. Sophie blinks, then shrugs. Yeah. Worked at a truck stop off I-70, cooks screamed, truckers ignored me. Felt like a ghost half the time. Lydia nods, her gaze steady. So you know it. Why'd you put that on me last night? Sophie's mouth opens, then shuts. I thought you were just someone else. You didn't look like, she stops, wincing. Like a CEO? Lydia's tone stays even. What's that look like to you? Sophie doesn't answer, her hands twisting. That's the trap, Lydia says. You've got this image, suit, loud, white, whatever, and I don't fit. So you wrote me off. Sophie's voice cracks. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, Lydia cuts her off gently. I don't need sorry. I need you to see me. She leans forward. I started as a desk clerk, Philly, night shifts. Guests called me, hey you, manager said I was too sharp for the gig. I clawed my way up, built this chain so people like us could rise. Last night, you reminded me why I did it, and why it's not done. Sophie's eyes widen. You were really a clerk? Lydia smirks. Yup. First step to this. She stands, smoothing her blazer. You're not hopeless, Sophie. But every guest, fancy or not, gets respect. Start there, and you'll never have to eat this kind of regret again. Sophie nods, a shaky thanks slipping out. Lydia walks off, lighter somehow, like she's handed off a piece of her past and gained something new in its place. By noon, the Summit Lux's lobby hums with its usual rhythm, valets shuttling cars, guests juggling luggage, a barista steaming oat milk. But behind the scenes, it's a different story. In the management office, Lydia Grant sits with a stack of staff files, her pen tapping a steady beat. Mark Sullivan paces by the window, Javier Torres types furiously, and Ellen Price from HR tweaks training slides. I'm not here to burn it down, Lydia says, flipping a page. I'm here to fix it. Javier looks up. New hires, empathy screens added. No more pattern bias. Lydia nods. Good. And next quarter, I'm on the roster, random drop-ins, no heads up. Keep M sharp. Mark chuckles, nervous. That'll rattle some cages. Let it, she says, eyes glinting. Real work doesn't come with a script. She slides the files over. Training's live Friday, use real stories, not fluff. I want them feeling it. She steps into the lobby, the new desk clerk snapping to attention with a respectful, ma'am. Lydia returns a nod, scanning the space. It looks the same, polished, busy, but she senses the cracks forming, the old ways buckling under her quiet push. Upstairs, her suite's packed, a note from Sophie tucked in her tote, thanks for seeing me, I'll do better. Simple, raw, better than a corporate apology. The car to the airport waits, the driver silent as Denver rolls by, strip malls, snow-dusted peaks, a city oblivious to the shift she's sparked. Lydia holds Sophie's note, her mind drifting. She's not shocked by last night, tired, yes, but not surprised. At 25, she'd hauled binders to bank meetings, watched loan officers smirk at her pitch. She built Summit Lux to defy that, yet here she is, still breaking the same ceilings. No bitterness, though, just memory, fuel for the fire. She could have gone viral, turned this into a circus, but that's not her. This is about respect, earned, not begged for. At the terminal, she moves through the chaos, announcements blaring, travelers rushing, unseen again, but steady. She's turned their doubt into a lesson, a mirror they can't unsee. For anyone who's been overlooked, dismissed, sized up wrong, Lydia's got this. You don't need to yell to matter. Know your worth, walk tall, let them squirm when they realize they missed it. She's not done, 15 hotels down, more to come, and she'll keep showing up, unapologetic, until the world catches up. Big thanks to you all for writing this one out, your support keeps these stories alive. If this hit you, drop a "stand tall" in the comments with a star emoji, smash that like, and subscribe for more real talk and real power. See you next time.